Bodenschleifmaschinenfachgeschäftsangestellten-Pausenverordnung.
Fucking hell, you didn't say that. Welcome to RBLE Global Tracks, Leipzig's fresh RB Leipzig podcast in English, brought to you by Richard and Mario. Amongst us, we're season ticket holders, passionate supporters, and not very neutral local pundits. Both of us have been following Leipzig football since our childhood days. So, if you want to hear about RB Leipzig, capture the mood of the fans in the city, and if you want to go beyond numbers and statistics, you are in the right place. We're delighted to welcome you on board. Let's go. Auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs. And I'm so pleased you're back, Richard. Good evening. How the devil are you?
Good evening, Mario. Yeah, it's good to be back. Thursday night, everything's fine, except I have a little bit work to do left. We're getting some folks I really love visiting tomorrow and stay for a while. So I have to go and polish, the sinks and floors and,
all exciting stuff.
All those stuff you're only doing once a month. And
oh, yeah. Oh, okay, a month. Okay. A month. Oh, you're doing well.
Yeah. So, but now we have still 30, 40 minutes podcasting to go.
That's right. Come on. You got to do something else. Can't be cleaning all the time. I mean, once or twice a year or every month. So let's do this. But I'm really pleased you're back because the last episode I did on my own. I tried to, involve you a little bit, but it was just audio from the past. But hopefully it was fine. So today, let's have a look at two things. Two things we're looking at. One is we're going to be wondering how to translate this. So that's a question we got from one of the listeners in the United States. And of course, we're going to have a preview of our match versus Mainz 05. Here we go again. Can't believe it's that time of year again where we play Mainz. Scary stuff. Hopefully not. So let's get on with things. First item is, we got a question from Rodney in the States. He's listening to us from there. Rodney's questions was really interesting because it's something we were sometimes wondering as well. So he's asking, he believes it doesn't matter, but he is fascinated by languages. So he was looking at that term Rasenballsport, and he was wondering, what the heck does that mean in English? So he read a few articles and they translated it into lawn ball sports. And that kind of didn't make any sense to him. So he might be able to convert that to grass ball sports. But he was really wondering, what is the meaning of Rasenballsport? And he kindly asked us to maybe give him a hint as native German speakers. I had a look at that and I sometimes was wondering, what the heck does that mean in English? How can you translate it? And I decided to look at it from two ways. So if we look at the German environment, German side, how people relate and refer to the club RB Leipzig, usually they do not mention the term Rasenballsport. They just leave that away. They just refer to Leipzig as Leipzig, just to avoid those RB initials. And there's one podcast which I come across at least once a year. And this gentleman calls Leipzig Raba Leipzig, which could be a short form of Rasenballsport, but still, he avoids those initials RB. And then, of course, there are those away fans who come to Leipzig, the ones who do, the ones who don't boycott those games. And they have one of their favorite chants is Scheiß Red Bull, which kind of means not so great, maybe Red Bull. And to be honest, if they have a problem with that, drink Red Bull, they need to change their drink. Drink something different, Just don't take it out on Red Bull. On the international stage, it's very refreshing because everybody refers to it to RB Leipzig as RB Leipzig, the way it should be. And I remember one of my colleagues who's working at an airport in Chicago. It's Rockford, Chicago. he does call RB Leipzig Red Bull Leipzig, and I always have to tell him, well, it's not it's Red Bull, it's Rasenballsport, but it doesn't make any sense to him either. So on the international stage, nobody has attempted to even pronounce or to translate it. So what could it be? How could we actually translate it? And in order to make, let's say, non-native German speakers to understand how we actually came up with that word, or somebody came up with that word, Rasenballsport, we'd like to explain to you how we are so special here in Germany and as German speakers, because we have this ability of creating monster-long words by just adding nouns. And Richard and I are going to give you an example. So let's do this, Richard. Let's create a nice German word made up out of a few nouns. We're going to go for round one. We're just going to keep on adding words as we go through. So in round one, you're going to add a word. I'm going to add a word. And in the rounds that follow, one of us, we take turns to add a word until we come up with a monster term. So round one.
One of my favorite hobbies. Let's go.
Oh gosh, so sad. Round one. I'm going to go with grinding. So that'd be like Schleif.
Okay. And I add Maschine. So now we have a Schleifmaschine.
That's pretty good. Schleifmaschine, 2 words, made into 1 word. I'm going to go with round 2. I'm going to add something else. So round 2. I'm going to add Boden. So now we have Bodenschleifmaschine. So that's a floor grinding machine, basically. So 3 words, Bodenschleifmaschine. You go with the next one. Next round.
Okay. And I add Fachgeschäft. So now we have a Bodenschleifmaschinen-Fachgeschäft.
That in itself is a really nice word.
But what does it mean? Enlighten our listeners.
So say it again. It's
Bodenschleifmaschinen-Fachgeschäft.
Well, it's a grinding machine shop, but it's a special shop because they're specialized on grinding machines and actually floor grinding machines. Okay, let's see if I can get at another one. One more. Come on. Bodenschleifmaschinenfachgeschäft Angestellter. Yeah.
Okay.
That is
give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm sure I can add something.
Hold on. So that would be a floor grinding machine shop worker or Angestellter. I mean, shop assistant actually.
Employee, maybe.
Or employee, but shop assistant's even better. So it's a floor grinding machine shop assistant. Shop assistant. Okay. Do you want to do one more? Or shall we leave it at that?
No.
Okay, one more.
Bodenschleifmaschinenfachgeschäftsangestellten-Pausenverordnung.
Fucking, you didn't say that. Can you say that again?
This is a valid German word. Okay. Bodenschleifmaschinenfachgeschäftsangestellten-Pausenverordnung.
Okay. Do you know what? I'm going to put this word into the show notes so you all can see how bloody long that word is.
Yeah, but you have to turn your phone on the side so you get every letter on.
Or put it in a very small font. Very small, I recommend. So this is just to demonstrate how you can basically make up monster-long words by just adding a lot of nouns. And it is also possible for artificial terms like Rasenballsport, which are not really used in everyday common German language. But so coming back to a possible translation, if you look at Rasenballsport, these 3 words, of course, do make perfect sense in German if they're used on their own. But if you put them together, well, it's not really a term that everybody uses in Germany or anybody uses in Germany, apart from calling RB Leipzig and trying to avoid the term Red Bull. So Rasenballsport ensures that that can be abbreviated with the initials RB. Everybody associates that with Red Bull, but the club is not called Red Bull Leipzig. And why is this not allowed? Well, in 1998 in Germany, a rule was introduced for the football Bundesliga that it is not allowed to carry the company's name or even product name in the name of the club. However, there are exceptions, or there is an exception to this rule, and that is, of course, Bayer 04 Leverkusen. So, why is that, I hear you say? Well, they were kind of fortunate because they existed as Bayer 04 Leverkusen. And Bayer, of course, is that huge multinational global company. And their logo displays the logo, is it pretty much the logo of the company. And they were named Bayer 04 Leverkusen, I think, in the 50s. And that was before the Bundesliga even was even founded. So they even entered in the competition under that name. And of course, their name was Bayer 04 Leverkusen already before that rule was introduced in 1998. So there you go. There's some other clubs which are display the name of company. One is SC Opel Rüsselsheim. Opel being a car maker based in Rüsselsheim, also in Rüsselsheim. Now they're French. And another example over here in East Germany is the FC Carl Zeiss Jena. Carl Zeiss being an optical enterprise in East Germany. And over here in Leipzig, it's LVB Leipzig, Leipziger Verkehrsbetriebe Leipzig. So that is really interesting. But Richard, I know we talked about this before and we had discussions before. And bearing in mind that this rule was introduced in 1998, does that mean RB Leipzig was just too late to enter as Red Bull Leipzig?
Of course, yeah. That's what I believe. Imagine this club would have been founded like 15 years earlier in the mid 90s and 2009, then there wouldn't have been a rule that would have make it not allowed to call this club Red Bull Leipzig. And I'm pretty sure about that. If one day, and this day will come, someone or some company bring this rule, this 50+1 rule to the court, this thing will fall, because it's like, it's something like don't ask, don't tell. Okay, this rule is introduced, and everyone who is involved in this whole football business in Germany is okay with that until a certain point. And I think this point, we talked about that recently when we discussed the investor in the league topic.
True.
Yeah. And there was some tension between the clubs. There was a slight majority who was okay with that investors topic, and no, not so small minority was not. And I thought, if this is now, if this is not going to happen, this investor thing, then clubs who was in this majority, they will try to find other sources to make money, to be competitive. And one might be to go to the court and try to make this 50+1 a thing of the past.
That might very well be the case. And by the way, it's worth mentioning as well that this rule seems to exist for the Bundesliga for football. If you look at the German ice hockey or hockey league, the current reigning champions are called ERC Red Bull München, Red Bull Munich, and they are one of the most successful clubs in the last 6-7 years. And nobody seems to have a problem with that. Even within the hockey community, there are no chants like this when they play Munich or when Munich comes to one of their stadiums. It just seems to be a certain thing for the Bundesliga here in Germany. So this is really interesting mentioning. So at the end of the day, Rasenballsport is just there as an artificial name and it's not very much used at all outside the stadium. There are quite a few chants with Rasenballsport with the from the stands, so that's great. And maybe people are just making a little bit fun of it as well and using it as that. But at the end of the day, if you even have a look at the official website of RB Leipzig and you put in the search term Rasenballsport, you will get one result because Rasenballsport is only mentioned in the imprint. Other than that, it's always referred to as RB Leipzig, and it should be easy to change one of these days when they can change it to Red Bull, like you think it's going to happen. So we thought it's a really interesting question. We love it. And it was great just to have a look at that because sometimes we were thinking, okay, how would we actually translate Rasenballsport if we had to translate it into English? So, Rodney, we really appreciate your question and keep on listening. Keep them coming. Any questions like that, we love to answer, especially from listeners who are not based in Germany or in Leipzig. So thanks a lot, Rodney. Really much appreciated. So, Richard, now we're going to look at our next clash. And I know we're playing FSV Mainz 05, and somebody else is facing Mainz 05 as well. It's going to be the weekend of clashes between Leipzig and FSV Mainz 05. The women's handball team, I think 21 times German champion of HC Leipzig, currently not playing at the top level, but in the second league, are traveling to Mainz. And I know the first game at Leipzig they lost, so hopefully they can take revenge. But this also applies to RB Leipzig, because last time we played Mainz in Mainz, we kind of lost. What's going to happen this time, Richard?
Introducing our next opponent, their Gegnercheck.
Hopefully we will get better, right? So you mentioned that game in Mainz, at Mainz. Well, that was the worst game of our whole season. I think it's fair to say. So we had like 67% ball possession all the time, but no ideas, no creativity. It was just pass in here and pass there and a little dribbling, and then, oh, come on, let's try with the crosser. Oh, this one went through over the goal line. Okay. And
it was dreadful.
That's basically a story told. But yeah, this time I'm pretty confident we will get better, and we have to. The last 3 games we were winless against Mainz. There was this 2-0 first leg game this season, and last season this infamous 0-3
yeah.
loss at home.
Yeah.
Where everyone was like, "Oh, come on, please pay attention. We are like in the semifinals of the cup, and we're still in competition for Champions League. And now you're starting bottling all this."
Yeah, I remember.
Looking back, the outcome was quite okay with the cup win and 4th
True.
place. So, but yeah, we had our issues with Mainz 05, and that game before this home loss. So our away game in the 2022-23 campaign, we only drew 1-1 at Mainz. So we have to go back to 2022 in January. If you want to find our last win against Mainz, it was a 4-1 home win. I guess I have to look at, but as far as I remember, nobody was there due to COVID-19 restrictions. So, fun fact here. 2 fun
I love
facts.
your fun fact.
2 fun facts.
Okay.
So the first
Gosh,
one
what a treat.
is pretty obvious. All of those 3 goal scorers are not with us anymore. So
okay.
Silva, Soboslai, and Nkunku scored. All of those are gone. And I didn't look up that, but I'm pretty sure that this was the only game where Silva scored twice for our
My
colors.
God!
Feels like an eternity. This
I know.
but it's only like 26 months.
Jesus.
So Okay. Yeah, our lads had pretty good performances recently in their national teams in the international break. So, like Baumgartner with this, I think it was a world record
It
score,
was
up
like
to 7 seconds,
six.
six
Yeah.
point something, 7 seconds with
Jesus.
this 1-0 against. What was the opponent he scored against?
Was it Slovakia? Was
Yeah,
Slovenia?
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was Slovakia.
Yeah. Okay.
And only one game later, Schlager scored against Turkey after like, I don't know, 120 something seconds or like 2 minutes or something.
Whoa,
So
they're on
boom,
fire.
our lads are on fire. And if you look at the last games, we had this 5-1 win at Cologne, this 4-1 win at Bochum, this pretty, like solid and
Mm,
Bayern-like, champion-like performance, 2-0 against Darmstadt, only did what we had to do.
mm.
The keeper of Darmstadt made some nice saves, so we could have scored more goals. And I told you before that Bochum game, I see a 4-game winning streak coming up, and
So this time you gotta be right,
3
don't you?
down, 1 to go.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt about that. We're steamrolling then, and we're gonna send them home with a 5-0 victory.
Okay. I think 3-1 would be enough for me. I'm always not as optimistic, a little bit pessimistic or skeptical when it comes to RB Leipzig returning from the international break. Now it seems like nobody got injured, and Mr. Olmo's coming back unscathed as well, so that's great. But they always seem to have a slow start. But they should be strong enough to beat Mainz. I agree. So a 3-1 should definitely be possible, shouldn't it?
And Xavi is well rested. Think about that. He only played like 2
Yeah.
minutes
Oh,
in this
yeah. Poor guy.
Germany-Netherlands clash.
Yeah, versus Germany, he couldn't show much, and he got heavily criticized in the first match that they played. Or don't remember who they played, but somebody claimed
Scotland.
like
Yeah.
Scotland. The Bonds coach, didn't he say he lost the ball too often?
Yeah,
Kind of
read that
strange
too.
because he was really in a really good form when he left Leipzig. So maybe
Of course, yeah.
no.
And I'm not a Bonds coach, but I did not really understand why he was on the bench from the start versus Germany. And I think it was totally bullocks to bring him from the
Mm,
bench like 2 minutes before the full time. With this useless nonsense.
mm. But gotta ask you one more question regarding Mainz, because last time we talked about Mainz was, of course, before we lost to them 2-0. We were so confident that we would get 3 points. And I think you even mentioned, and correct me if I was wrong, you said Mainz is pretty much one of the worst, if not the worst team of the league. How have they performed in the meantime? What do you think about them now? You were right, weren't
Still,
you?
yeah, still, so like they're still like 17th place,
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
It's going to
And
get tight.
yeah, they won against us. It was a week 10, and then had a winless streak until this home victory in early 2024 versus Augsburg. So they lost 2, no, they lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games and had like 6 draws, something like that
Mm,
in that stretch. And this tells pretty much anything. They changed the coach from Bo to Bo.
true. Yeah.
um, but all in all, this whole team is just like lowest tier in the Bundesliga, and it's not because the coaching staff was not okay. It's just because there's a lack of quality in players. It's as
Mm.
simple as that.
So, what makes you so optimistic that we can actually exploit that this time?
Well, Dominic Kor is not around this time because I think it's a red card suspension, if I'm right.
Hmm.
And he is like the cohesion player, so between defense and midfield, and it's a cornerstone in the whole team. And he's not around. The coach of Mainz have to deal with that, and I'm curious how this thing will work out for them. But it's obvious to me that this is not a better team without Dominic Kor.
Okay. And I think you're also optimistic because almost all the players who were on international duty performed really well. and should come back with a lot of confidence. I know Benny Henrichs and David Raumoni had a few minutes versus the Netherlands as well, but they looked quite comfortable, I have to say. And they looked like very, very familiar when they went on the pitch. And it was like, okay, they're trying to play like RB Leipzig. So I think the fact that they have also joined a now improved German team with momentum on their side, and a good chance of being in the squad for the Euros, it really is going to give them a lot of confidence and a lot of optimism. So I think this has to happen. We have to get 3 points in. Maybe not a 5-0, but maybe a 3-1. It doesn't matter. As long as we get the 3 points. You're right. It's a 4-game winning streak. And, the Bumblebees are going to are they going to play at Munich? I think they're going to play at Munich. Yeah. I think there's not much for them to gain. So we should be in 4th position after this weekend. But who's going to ensure that we're going to get those 3 points this time? Who's Marco Rose going to send on the pitch?
Liebe Fußballfans, wir kommen jetzt zu unserer heutigen Mannschaftsaufstellung.
Okay. Between the goalposts, number 1, Gulashi.
Okay.
You mentioned this, our outside defensive backs, Raum and Henrichs, also well rested, didn't play much against Netherlands. Today I read that Willy Orban has some muscular issues, but as long as he doesn't have to carry his head in under his armpit, he will be in the starting lineup. So Orban next to Lukeba. Haidara is out due to a yellow card suspension, so that will very likely bring up Seiwald next to Schlag on defensive midfield. And of course, the no-brainer offensive four, Dani Olmo, Xavi, Šeško, and goaltender. I kept my eye on the Belgium squad, and I thought, okay, he scored like 18 goals now in the Bundesliga. It's the second best, the third best goal scorer of the Bundesliga, and it's not even in the starting lineup for Belgium.
Strange, isn't it?
It's strange, and that tells something how good this national team is. Oh my gosh, I'm looking forward to seeing them in the Euros.
It should make for a really good competition, and it's probably going to be a surprise as well. Maybe Germany is going to be a little better than we think. I still don't see it at the top, and if we're lucky, we get into quarterfinals. Maybe we should get through the group stages, but Belgium should be exciting to watch. Austria, definitely. The French, still the French. Even England, definitely England. Should be a really good tournament. And some of those matches, like the Netherlands are going to be here in Leipzig, going to take place in Leipzig. The Netherlands are going to be here. France are going to be here. And I'm going to be on the road, so I'm going to miss it. Great. Wonderful.
But you know what? Germany is going all the way. All the way.
You heard it here first. Germany's going all the way home, or?
We are already. Now we're going all the way to Berlin, and then finally, I always think of Jürgen Klinsmann when he received last time this trophy from the Queen. And I would like to see, who's the captain, Toni Kroos, receiving the trophy from Hans-Walter Steinmeier.
Toni Kroos is not the captain. It's still Ilkay Gündoğan, but there might be change. You never know. I think it doesn't matter who the captain is, as long as they get the acts together and make us proud. So that would be wonderful. Richard, it has been a real pleasure to have you back. This is much more fun with you than without you, gotta tell you. And a really special thank you to Rodney Tyson Jr. for your question. Let us know if we answered it quite correctly or if there's anything else you'd like to know. And everybody who's listening, we really appreciate it. This has been RBLE Global Tracks. If you want to get in touch with us, you can leave a review on your platform. If you like the podcast, do subscribe to it, and please keep talking about it. Spread it amongst your fans. And fans, if you got fans, is great, and friends, it would be even better. And if you want to send us an email, you can do this at talktous@rbleglobaltracks.com. We're also on Twitter. Our name is at podcast_RBL. And for tonight, there's one thing left to say. That is, thank you, Richard. And auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs. Zack.